Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to Von Kaiser. Check it out. There we go. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I'm talking to David and Kaylin of Von Kaiser. How you guys doing?
Woo-hoo, pretty good.
Doing good, thanks.
Excellent. Fantastic. And we've got a fan, Joe. Joe, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. So cool for all you guys. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining and being on Fans with Bands. I really appreciate it. So my buddy Tommy from Slumlord Radio, who I guess is like
just said hi, by the way.
All right.
Hi to Chuck.
They're kind of like you guys are sweet mates, I guess, as far as like a practice facility.
Right.
Yeah.
We share a spot here.
That's fun. And so he was telling me he's been great because he's told me about a couple other bands too, like Epsia and gosh, I'm blanking out on the other one, but
it's okay because we don't know anyone.
So he's like, you got to check out Von Kaiser. I think you'll dig it. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I went and listened to your music and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I mean, so I'm obviously an old dude. It threw me back to like being in, when I was in high school, like that's when MTV started.
Mission accomplished.
And I immediately thought of that, like MTV days. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like when I first heard like Tears for Fears or Depeche Mode or Duran Duran. And in some instances, I kind of get like a feeling of Tangerine Dream. But
for sure.
But yeah, I was like, wow, this is super cool. So I was like, yeah, I got to get you guys on here. So
have you heard of that genre before? Synthwave? Have you heard that word before?
No, never.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear when someone has never heard the term before.
Yeah. I was
in the car, like he knows all about it. He's been a fan of the genre for a long time of many different artists. And so
I had to Google it because I was like, what is it? Because it also reminds me a little bit when I first got an Xbox in like, I don't know when was that, 90s, maybe 2000s. But there's some of those games, especially driving games, had some really cool music in them, and some had that kind of synth music in there as well. So I was just curious, like, how did you guys get started, and how did you get into this music? Because you're clearly not old enough to have been born in the 80s.
Wow.
We'll take the fifth on that one, but obviously just like a love of the aesthetic for me. I've always been into the retro 80s vibe ever since I first knew that it was a music genre. I used to just kind of hum or have in my head the soundtrack of commercials from my childhood.
Yeah.
And I've been in rock bands for years and wanted to do something different. And really a lot of the people that I was making music with didn't really understand what synthwave was about or what I wanted to do. And I knew I needed to team up with someone different.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of Kaylin kind of came into the fold.
So David had been in several projects before, a lot of like rock and pop punk and stuff like that. And so they were, starting this project and asked if I wanted to, take a look at the genre. I got sent some FM 84 and the Midnight as like a precursor as to like, hey, this is, basics of vocal synthwave. And I was like, whoa. Those are big artists
sort
in
of
the genre.
in our genre.
So I was like, this is crazy. Like, it reminds me of my childhood. I want to do this. This is awesome. And Von Kaiser was born.
Yeah, just like that. And I mean, we did a music video. I think it was within like the first 3 weeks that Kaylin was around. We did one song in a video called Dead by Dawn. And that was Von Kaiser's first works, really. And then we just kind of went to work on a record after that. We used to have we were a 4-piece when we started. And we had a live drummer and another guitar player who was going to play saxophone as well. And the more people that were involved, the more difficult it was to capture that aesthetic, that sort of
Yeah.
electronic feel almost,
Mhm.
that sort of old disco meets old 80s with a little bit of rock guitar over the top of it, but not like a full 80s rock band, It's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
a little different. And so we found the best way to do it was less people involved, believe it or not.
Well,
Yeah.
there's, I went to this show. It was called Duo Fest, and it was all duos. And you guys would have fit in there perfectly. Not, necessarily because there was a bunch of different synth bands there, but because of the fact that, well, there's that two people can generate a ton of music, right? And especially like with your music, the different layerings and the textures that are there in there. I was listening to Animals, which I think that came out just recently, like end of May. Is that correct?
Yeah, of last year. Yep.
Last year, yeah.
2020.
And like there's that song, Poison Was the Cure, and Future
Future Sight.
Sight. Yeah, Future Sight. Thanks. And I really I love those tunes. The whole album was awesome. But I was curious, like, what's the writing process for you guys like? How did you go about creating those tunes?
Oh, well, traditionally, we used to work as a 3-piece until recently, and the way it used to work was sort of a bit forensic, and people would be running around, kind of putting in beats, and then be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And then someone would be on the keyboard doing something, and usually what happens is, for no talent purpose at all, it just happens. But I get these ideas that come into my head.
Uh-huh.
They just sort of pop in there.
He'll be showering or like sleeping and wake up in the night and be like, and go in the closet, whistle something into his phone.
Like I capture it into my phone, but it's like the universe is handing me the melody. I'm not I almost feel guilty sometimes because I'll be like taking credit for writing this song someone really likes. And I'm like, I wrote that one on the can after a particularly bad event with Taco Bell or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And someone will say that is the song that got me through the week. And I'm like, it got me through that 5 minutes,
Well, it's funny because he had this vibe going. You mentioned Future Sight. He had this vibe in his head, and we kind of put, the beats, and we put some synths in, and he was he'll go and kind of sing that melody that he'll get in his head that he's blessed with, right? But a lot of times he'll just sing random words.
You guys can mute me if you want, like background noise.
Hey, it's Gary Wade.
Cedar Point?
Cedar Point. Are you standing by the Raptor, Gary?
Can you hear us, Gary?
Well, we can hear him.
I think he might have muted all of us.
No, you can hear me, right?
I don't think he can hear us. We can hear you. I don't think he can hear all of us.
Yeah, no.
Well, it looks like he is at Cedar Point.
He's in front of the roller coasters.
That's amazing. He's over there.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So anyway, so he had this, tune or whatever, and he had just throwaway words. We call them throwaway words, where he'll just be like, "I see the world, I see the world, I see the world," right? So he's doing this, and he writes that in there, and he determines that this is not a song for him, hands it over to me. I go in the other room, write out some verses like in an hour, come back, and I'm like, I just like that throwaway chorus. I like those words. Let's just keep that.
Just kept that.
And I kind of wrote verses that kind of went with a, overall like vague idea of it. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting process, I guess. But I just thought it's kind of funny that sometimes the throwaway stuff is some of the best stuff.
But we don't conventionally go into a room either. Like a lot of live artists or bands can get into a room and they'll put a bunch of synthesizers together or whatever and microphones, and they'll just start going for it. I mean, we kind of do that, but it's more organized, I guess. The writing process when I was in bands was always like, all right, drummer, here's my idea, and I'll just play it out, and then they start jamming on it. But that whole aspect is gone from this. And that is, sometimes I miss that, but I guess in the way writing is so much more organized like I can experiment in a way I've never been able to experiment in any other music genre because of the instant ability to put something into the computer and hear it back. And
Yeah.
it starts to shape the song, quickly. So it's
Yeah.
definitely allowed us to churn out songs quickly.
I would imagine it would be like fairly liberating because you can basically manufacture any sound that you want.
Right.
Yeah.
And go from there and see where it takes you. Do you do any of that kind of experimentation where you're just kind of you mentioned you were coming up with a particular melody. Do you ever have anything where you're trying to I want to see what this does if I put a synth on this and then I don't know, modulate it somehow so it's like
Yeah. So something that, I mean, it's not released yet. It's actually on our upcoming album that we'll announce soon, but just working on some new songs. I had this idea. I had watched this documentary about the different noises in the universe, right? The different sounds and how they interact and the different frequencies, and about like stars making certain frequencies, and
Oh,
you can
yeah.
record them and get those sounds. And I thought that those sounds sounded like whales. And so I was like, what if we just got some humpback whale sounds and put them in this song and kind of like stretched them out a little bit to make them sound like ethereal?
Which
and
sounds
cool.
easy, but it's not to get it to work.
Yeah.
yeah.
Often she'll have these ideas and want to try them, and we have to sort of filter it.
I'm like, I
through
want star sounds. And he's
Right.
like, well, where are we supposed to find
Like,
those?
what does that even mean? What
Right.
does a star sound like exactly?
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, like for experimentation's sake, like we do synth solos all the time, and we'll take the synthesizer and run it through like a guitar amp plugin
yeah.
to kind of make it have a little granular edge to it, so it doesn't just sound like beep boop boop.
Right.
Things like that are fun to do, but drums too.
Hold on.
Look at Gary looks like Cisco
Somebody's
right now.
screaming in those.
I muted Gary. He was a little close to the
I wonder if it's just the
roller
the cell
coaster.
phones, Joe's picture is, I think he's got his phone.
I think he
in
got
his
it
hand.
set in his car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at any rate, yeah, I mean, it is liberating to be able to just sort of throw anything we want, because essentially we're writing the record or the music in the studio while the record's being made.
Right.
Not somewhere else and then bringing it to record, which is the old traditional way.
Yeah. And so, when you're doing that recording process and working on the music, and then you get the final product. You've got your last album, Animals, and the rest of your catalog of music. Is there any particular songs that you just like love for some reason? And if so, what are they and why?
Oh boy.
Oh.
We do this a lot. Kind of like
Joe's background.
like sometimes it's like we don't even know what the other person's favorite song is. I've always had an affinity with the song Glossy. It's off an EP we put out. It was the first thing we'd released after we did our first record, Landline. And I don't know, it was just the beginning of sort of a new production style that we were entering into. And I just like the way the song goes off. But I mean, that was my favorite song up until there's another one on this new record that's about to come out. It's taken it over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that changes all the time for me. For Kaylin, I have no idea. That.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few songs. I actually really like Glossy as well. I had a friend of mine who told me that it's pretty popular in the quote unquote Fiero community because it mentions Fiero.
There's a lyric. It's a lyric about driving a Fiero around.
Yeah.
So
There's
these
playlists for
playlists
Fiero
for
owners.
Fiero owners, and it's on the playlist. And I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think one song that I wanted to bring back onto our sets, Amber, I really like, and that one came from based on the movie The Running Man.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and kind of from the point of view of the character Amber, which is the girl that just gets kind of thrown into everything and is like, oh no, I'm stuck in this thing, and just like tying it into my own life experiences and throwing it into the lyrics of that song too, and just I really like how it became you know, it's a back and forth. So I sing the verses on that, and David sings the choruses on that, and it's a back and forth between the two characters. So
Cool.
it's a play in that movie, and but it's also got, you know, listenable lyrics that aren't just, oh, I'm a movie song.
Right.
Yeah.
Explosion.
Yeah, just regurgitating movie lines or whatever.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'll be back, you know.
Yeah.
Ironically, also Arnold is in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys have mentioned the new album. When do you have a target date for that album?
Somebody actually managed to get the record to come out on her birthday, which is November 4th.
Oh, awesome! Very cool. And what's it called?
It's called The End is the Beginning.
Cool.
And we'll be officially announcing it probably middle of next month with
Excellent.
some preview stuff.
Some artwork.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, it's officially being announced on air tomorrow on a different interview.
Cool.
With just somebody, it's a friend of actually everyone that's also in this chat on the Zoom call right now. But she's a DJ out of Seattle that's that kind of asked to reveal it. So she's doing the opening, sort of giving away the name of the record and stuff on there. But by the time
Awesome.
that'll have happened. So
That already happened. Yeah.
But not to take it away that we didn't want to announce it on here. We haven't been talking about it at all, really, just because it's just gone to mastering, and we've just finished it up. It's 11 songs.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, I think this could be our best work.
Excellent. So just out of curiosity, how do you feel? I mean, did you try to expand your repertoire? Like, how do you feel this album is going to stack up against what you've already done? Where do you think that it's advanced for you guys?
We don't know. It's very different, and yet at the same time very similar.
It sounds like a mix of all three. I think.
Sounds like a mix of the past 3 albums, but in like a new way, a new spin on those things. So we're hoping people like it. But at the same time, we're really proud of it already. It's like we don't have. I don't know if you probably talked to a bunch of artists that are like, well, you know, we're nervous about this. We hope people will like it or whatever.
Right.
We don't know if it's good. Like, hopefully it's good, and we think it's good.
Yeah, we don't have
Awesome.
Like, if this is the first time I think we both don't have that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It was just easier to agree on everything, I think, with fewer cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and maybe it's a factor of too, you know, just the building confidence in your abilities, right? And as far as songwriters to come up with, I mean, not to say that you didn't feel that confidence early on, but there's a certain level of maturity that comes along when you're like, all right, I know that we're making great music, and so
Yeah.
this is it. So
I mean, we hope that people
Yeah.
will like it.
We
Clearly,
hope,
care. It's
right? We don't
not
know.
to be like
but-
blasé and say we don't
Yeah.
care.
No,
No.
we're amazing now.
I think for us to be happy was something we were putting on the back burner in the past.
yeah,
All of us to be happy. You
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
So
Very
it's tough. It's tough to find that footing, but with 2 of us, it's less tough as it turns.
Right. Awesome. So let's see, Gary, Joe, I don't know if you guys you're both muted right now. You can unmute if you want to, but if you have, I don't know if you guys have any questions you want to ask.
Is there a chat that they can write?
There is a chat. Yeah.
See that. Hey everyone at Cedar Point.
Just
wanna
want to say
say
hi.
hi.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, well,
questions.
it never is.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing? I'm at Cedar Point. It's a little noisy, so you can mute me if it's loud.
No, you sound good.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to miss out, so I'm gonna let my kids ride the blue streak one time, and I'm gonna take it the second time with them.
That's awesome. That's
Excellent.
classic. The blues.
Okay, I'll meet you at the exit. No, I was listening to Chuck. Those are great questions, similar to what I would ask. Looking forward to the release.
Awesome. Gary, do you have any other questions you want to ask him real quick?
You guys are playing again soon, right?
Yep.
Live. Where at again?
We're in Philadelphia this weekend.
Okay, that's a little
It's-
far for me, but close.
Yeah.
In Michigan again soon, though.
Yes, we're just holding on the date, but it'll be in September. We have a September date coming. We're just holding to announce until after this weekend.
Okay. I've been really busy, a lot of crazy stuff going on. Like I went through a divorce and then like we got back together even though we're divorced. So it's just been crazy.
Holy cow,
That's
Gary.
crazy.
Holy cow. Yeah, I think you're off the hook from the synthwave community. We're actually heading to Cedar Point on Friday, believe it or not. We're gonna
Really?
stop there on our way through to Philly. Yeah, because we got to cut the drive in half. So
Awesome.
Nice.
I like
We're gonna-
live here. I've been going here like once a week. But I've always loved this place and been coming here a lot. I know you guys like it too.
oh yeah.
we do.
It's like the most classic 80s in my mind, like going there and riding the Demon Drop when I was a kid.
All right. Yeah.
It's if you ever want to ride that ride again, it's at their other park, Dorney Park.
Is it really?
It's in Pennsylvania. Actually, it's by Philadelphia.
Wow. I might have to look that up. I might have to look that up for Sunday.
In Dorney Park. So it's their other park. It's a Cedar Fair park. If you
Very
had
cool.
if you had a platinum pass, you'd be able to use that to get into that park also.
Huh. That's
Uh,
cool. I don't know that.
yeah.
Chuck's like, this has been rough. It's been taken over by Cedar Point. So.
No, that's awesome.
I'm
Because
sorry, I won't interfere too much. But yeah, if you want to ride the Demon Drop again, which I did not that long ago at that park, and it was really nostalgic for me. I love
Is
that.
there other rides? There's other rides and stuff there too?
Oh yeah. It's like a small version of Cedar Point, but it's cool. You know,
Yeah.
there's like a small version of the Magnum there, like a small version of this, and it's
oh, the Magnum.
I would recommend it. It's fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look it up when we're crossing through because we don't have anything going on that next day. So
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, no problem. It's probably a little bit better than Michigan's Adventure. I would rate it just a little bit.
so you Chuck, you know where that is, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my backyard here.
Yeah.
I've been to like half or more of the Cedar Fair parks. The second best, or maybe a tie, would be like Kings Island and
That Huckleberry, whatever.
Canada's Wonderland was really, really good. I would rate that second.
Don't they have one that's like Huckleberry something? That's like another one. That's,
I just went there. I went out to California to go there. Knott's Berry Farms and
yeah, Knott's Berry Farms. That's it.
I just
yeah.
went there. Actually, it was pretty good. I went to Six Flags Magic Mountain there too because that's like the Cedar Point of the West out there.
Yeah.
Gary, you're a junkie.
Yeah, man.
I am.
Holy cow.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take this over or anything.
No, it's awesome.
No, we
100%.
love it.
Thanks for reaching out, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
That's awesome. I had no idea that there was like a small Cedar Point in Pennsylvania.
I didn't either. I know we did know that there were some parks spread around, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Any. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I haven't been to Cedar Point in forever.
Yeah, you can find a map of like other parks. Just type in like Cedar Fair parks, and that Canada's Wonderland is in Toronto. So I mean, it's really not too far. But
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. That's a great.
Yeah, we always try to hit Cedar Point as we go out east for shows. It's kind of like become a tradition now.
Right. Yeah, it's like an hour and 15-minute drive for me. So I'm here like once a week
Right.
usually in the
That's
summer.
awesome.
It's 4.5 for us, which
Yeah.
cuts Pennsylvania nice in half. Perfectly.
Yeah. I was
like
going to
one
say,
of
that's a
the-
good stopping point.
It's one of the only. It's one of the only perks to living in Ohio and all the cornfields. There's Cedar Point, just shining. Maybe Columbus. Columbus is okay.
He's got a point.
Yeah.
Cleveland's
I was
similar to Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. Columbus is pretty cool. I've been there a couple
Yeah,
times.
I
It's nice.
like Columbus a lot. It's awesome.
We
Yeah.
plan to play there soon. It's just trying to find the right show.
Yeah, I
First.
saw you. I saw you guys there. In Columbus.
That's right. You're right. That's right. Yeah, with your
we
brother.
saw you and your brother.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I have a question for like all you guys really. It's like, so like what is the synthwave community like? Like how I guess like, you know, what is it like for you guys as a band as, you know, having a supportive community? I got it. It's got to be great, but I'm just wondering like do they help, you know, with getting shows and connecting out to other, you know, countries and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's in short.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been in music for 20 years playing live, and I have never encountered fans that care so much about what's going on in a genre as much as this one. I've also seen, people be super petty in our genre, but I think like that's every music genre because it's people and that people are that way. But as a whole, I feel like it's just so much more positive.
It's positive and personal.
It's like, but everyone listens to synthwave in like a different way. But most always, it's either driving or relaxing, or like people will either put it on to study without vocals, or they put it on to chill to with it. And some people like it driving down the road. Like it's a big driving thing. Synthwave is synonymous with like sports cars and Rad Racer, and like the Outrun game on the Sega. Like it's all attached to that. The original genre before it was synthwave was just referred to as Outrun, which was music that just sounded like the Sega video game.
Oh, really? Wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, like people like Gary and Joe, I mean, we've met them in person before. They both, in places that we've been at, they've been there and they're not even from that town.
Yeah.
It's a love for that genre and the music because it's so small,
Right.
I think that's why, because it's a postage stamp size genre, you get a lot more personalities to interact with as fans.
Yeah.
Because it's more special, artists don't come off stage and get mobbed by 2,000 people. It's only maybe a 20.
Right.
So it's nice.
And you kind of are allowed to develop like a, personal relationship with your fans as opposed to just a mass. So you brought up a interesting thing, David, and it's a question I wanted to ask other people and just totally zoned out on. But how do you guys like to consume, not just your music, but other music that you like? Is it, sitting at home listening to an album, or is it in your car, or while you're out taking the dog for a walk? What's yours?
I mean, personally, I find new music when I'm working out or when I'm driving. I usually don't listen to music when I'm working because I'm super easily distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll hear a synth line that I like, or I'll, not even synthwave, I'll hear a line that I like or a vocal that I like. And I'm like, who is this? What's going on? And then I'm adding it to the playlist and then I'm not working anymore. So I don't really listen to music when I'm working, but a lot of people do, like the synth wave in general. A lot of people I've talked to say, oh yeah, I listen to this synthwave playlist, and a lot of it's no vocals, so it makes it easier for people to listen to at work because it's not offensive, So
well, words suggest things in your mind,
right,
and perhaps you don't have the way to keep working while you're hearing words. It can be distracting if you're writing an email, for instance.
Yeah,
and a song going and you've never heard it before.
Right.
It's putting words in your head, like someone talking while you're trying to count or something,
I've written random words in emails before, so it's not.
It happens.
ADD.
I have to go, guys, but I just want to say that, synthwave's a great genre. And, when I meet somebody that actually listens to it like I do, it's like there's a bond or something. It's like, oh my God, there's somebody else that listens to this. But what's cool is it's global, it's just because it's not local doesn't mean that it's not global. So, with the help of the internet and platforms like this or whatever, people can connect and share the love for the genre, which is great because you haven't really seen that before. It's like, it's just the internet, just, social media, it's more and more common.
Yeah.
It is
awesome.
But I gotta go. I'm looking forward to the release.
Man. We appreciate you popping in and saying hi, buddy.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to make it to a live show. I'm gonna try my best, even if I gotta take a vacation day or whatever.
Cool.
Well, we'll make it worth your while, buddy. Just let us know.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Yeah, take care, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
You too. Bye.
Awesome. And we've got another fan, KB. KB, can you hear me? I see you're muted, but
It could be having.
Yeah, it could be having some technical difficulties. Or it could be we've had a couple. I'll just warn you, we've had a couple of trolls every once in a while because I just put that out there as far as a link, and so it can get stray. One time we had this guy
we can take it if it is.
Yeah, this guy was actually totally cool, but he was promoting his wrestling in Montgomery, Alabama.
Like a backyard wrestling event.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
It was
Get
pretty.
your music out of the way. I've got something more
Yeah.
important. There's gonna be barbed wire.
Yeah. He was like, this is Big
Sandwiches.
John's. Shit, I can't remember his name, but Big John from Montgomery, Alabama. Shepler's Wrestling. That's what it was.
And he just hopped on. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It was awesome. So another question I have for you guys, Von Kaiser, is that from Punch Out?
You gotta,
All right. Whew.
yeah.
I was
like,
worried.
a lot of people don't catch that. So you did.
Yeah, well, I remember playing Punch Out, and never. Well, I don't think I ever was able to defeat Mike Tyson, but I do remember Von Kaiser, that character. That's awesome. So, we talked a little bit about like how David, you mentioned Sega. Has any of your music made into the video games so far?
Not anything AAA or big, from the standpoint of like on console, but we have had a song on a mobile game in Russia
Excellent.
that a lot of people found us through that.
Yeah.
It was, what was the name of that game called?
It
was called something
a
Race-
music racer.
Music Racer. So it was kind of like
Like Guitar Hero, but like for cars. And
Yeah.
you hit certain, dots on it and it would continue playing the song.
otherwise the
and
song wouldn't play. And so
Yeah.
we were the
Oh.
opening track.
for the menu.
Yeah, for the menu and everything.
And then you could play the actual song in the game too. So we put the video on YouTube
Yeah.
and half the comments on it are in Russian,
this
and we're like,
Music
"What is
Racer?"
this?"
they didn't realize what was going on, right?
Yeah.
But I think they took it out now because we asked them to like give us attribution and like
Yeah.
rights or pay royalties on it.
Yeah.
So just for using it, and they were like, nah. They just took it out. We think they took it out. I mean, we don't know how to find it now, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was there for a long time, but I think it served its purpose
Right.
at any rate. But honestly, we've been a bit lax in submitting, I think, for consideration for sync licensing, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and many things are on the horizon for us to start doing more actively.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get better.
I know that there's definitely bands that have, gotten like tons of notice from, having just a single track on a video game.
Yeah, like Goldfinger got a song on that Tony Hawk Pro Skater that came out on PS1, and that was like, or PS2, and that was it. I mean, they were off to the races after that as far as notoriety and stuff.
Right.
Not happening. It's one thing.
And your music would definitely fit into, some games for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
We're just, like we said, unless it's put in front of people, no one ever knows about it. And that kind of promotion engine is, I think, a difficult thing that every artist faces right now.
Yeah.
Is how do you get new listeners? How do you forge more fans? And
Yep.
like, the one downside to our genre is because it's so small, we're splitting that fan base,
Yeah.
sort of all over the place. The only thing we have on our site as far as live shows go is that they're few and far between in our genre.
Right.
So as a result, people come to most of them because it's a rare event.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is just desktop artists who don't play out, studio artists.
Yeah. So is it difficult for you guys to like book tours since it is kind of small, or is it because of the demand so high that if a band like yours is out, they're like, oh shit, we got to eat you on the bill?
It's probably a bit of both. We have a following that is probably good enough to tour on, but with somebody else.
Right.
If we went out with another artist, we could probably do a good tour, but for us, it has to be beneficial.
Yeah.
In so much as like, we tried to look at putting something together, and if the venue is just a venue and they don't know anything about music genres, they're just booking the room. They don't
Yeah.
care what comes through as long as people are there,
Right.
It's kind of how it's becoming, unfortunately, is just a venue is just a room, and whoever takes it over and puts a show on there, if it goes well, great, they'll have you back. But the venue itself isn't involved in caring about the music. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense because I know that there's a Facebook group called Playing in Detroit Tonight, or yeah, I think that's what it is. Jennifer Westwood and her husband Dylan, they kind of started it, but that was a reoccurring theme in there about like how to uh, engage. This is Detroit centric, but engage the community, and that was one thing is like having venues that are more actually interested in curating sounds, right? Or bands and music,
Right.
as opposed to, like you said, just being a room and you
Because then
come in.
anybody, it doesn't matter. Like if the venue wants you there, it could be just because you put 200 bodies in there, not because your music's good or anyone really cares about it.
Right.
I'm not saying that that isn't the case or
Yeah.
that isn't happening, that they don't care or will book anyone, but it feels that way. And
Yeah.
when you're trying to do that across the country,
Yep. And trying to-
even with a fan base, it's tough. It's just because, fans can help with shows. Like you asked that question before.
Yep.
And they have, but I mean, you're asking a fan to do something really that a manager would do, and that's find a place, put you in contact with someone. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough. And especially post-COVID, everything's weird and still everyone's
It
navigating
still
that.
is. Yep.
you
Yeah.
know.
It definitely is.
Starting to get back to normal, I think, but even in January it was tough.
Yeah. Earlier this year, I think it was still pretty weird, but I think now it's getting better. Because I noticed that myself, just going to I go to a ton of local shows, and it's definitely feeling. I don't know if it's people just tired of the pandemic, or if it's just
They'll take the
people,
risk, maybe.
yeah, or just getting comfortable and knowing that they've done what they need to do.
Right.
Right.
So as far as artists yourself, who or like particular person or band was an influence in you wanting to get into music?
Or why don't you go first for once?
Me.
Yeah, you're talking too much.
Yeah, I talk so much. Well, I mean, me wanting to get into synthwave, I had never heard of it when I was asked to come in and sing on a track initially. So the first exposure that I had to synthwave was the Midnight FM 84. And I think, I don't know, like Michael Oakley and Nina might have been a smaller artist at the time who's since probably quadrupled in size, so like blown up in that way. But just, I would say those are a lot of the bread and butter kind of artists of synthwave. Like
Well, he's
everyone
what got you
knows
into
them.
music.
Yeah.
Oh, got me into music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall.
All the way back to the
Oh,
start.
well,
Yeah.
all right. Jesus.
Oh Lord and baby.
Yeah, joining church choir, and I went to a small Baptist school in elementary and junior high, and we had mandatory choir class, whether you could sing or not. And I like to sing, so I was always singing. I was putting on sock puppet shows for my family and stuff.
Awesome.
I would be singing in choir, and the kids called me Mighty Mouse because I was always smaller than everyone else, but I'd be yelling, I'd be like singing louder than everyone else. So that's what got me into it. I started singing classically, and I ended up going to school for basically opera and musical theater for vocal.
Oh, wow.
Which you don't really know by this music, but that's kind of my deal. So
Wow, cool.
I used to host karaoke, and so I started really getting, you get a lot of people singing 80s and early 90s music at karaoke.
Yeah.
So I started really getting into that style of music. Plus, my parents, they're 70s kids, so listening to a lot of 70s and 80s music in that way. So that's kind of more of like the influence that I felt more drawn to this genre of music as well. So joining this band was kind of like, I don't know, coming home in a way.
That's cool. Very
So-
cool.
What about you?
I saw MTV performance. I think it was the live video of Guns N' Roses doing Paradise City. And I just saw Slash standing there, like playing guitar, and all these people were just like, what, like staring at him and
Yeah.
blown away. And I was too. I was like, I want to do that. Whatever that is. I want to do that,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was that simple. And I started playing guitar after that. And, it's just funny now being a more of a lead singer. And now it's never anything I ever thought I would do. I only ever thought I would just be a guitar player,
Wow.
That's all I was set out to do, I thought,
Yeah. That's wild. That's awesome though. I love how it's, Slash, because he's such an iconic person, in general. So that's cool.
Especially like synonymous with the Les Paul. I mean, that was why I
Yeah.
started those and wanted a Les Paul and saved up, bought a Les Paul studio, on consignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the old days. Or
Yeah,
later, not consignment, sorry.
he was sort of like the next generation, because like my generation, like the Slash of that era was probably Jimmy Page. And so
Right.
he's like
Another Les Paul icon.
Yeah. I mean, even the low slung, aspect of it, give it a
Mhm.
real low. And so, yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. So I kind of like to go back and, get into like a little bit more of that origin story in respect to like your first albums. So like, what was the first album that you bought, or CD or cassette?
Uh-oh. This one's gonna be good. Go ahead. Say it. I can see your face. You can't, but what is it?
The first I bought, well, it was a single, but it wasn't, because it got a bonus track, but I didn't listen to that one. I bought Christina Aguilera's Genie in a Bottle.
Awesome.
I was 13, and then the next week I bought Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. So,
Nice.
yeah, really great.
Yeah, those are classics.
They really are.
I think my first album was Poison's Flesh and Blood.
Oh, really?
Record I ever bought.
Wow.
Followed by, I think, Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue. Those are like my first two. I was into all the hair metal. Like,
Oh,
it
awesome.
led me right down, I went right down the rabbit hole. Guns N' Roses sort of started it, and then I was like listening to Rat after that, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
look at this. Like, my mom wouldn't let me grow my hair long, and it was a problem. Ironically, I still don't have long hair.
Oh, man. So what was the first concert you guys went to?
Well, I haven't been to many. You've been to many.
I can't honestly remember if my first concert was Styx or Journey, because I saw them within a week of each other, and I can't remember which, but they came to Muskegon Summer Celebration
Oh, cool.
back in, I don't know when that was. I was in, I think, middle school or early high school, and my mom was super sheltered, so she wasn't allowed to go see Styx when she was a teenager. So she saw they were coming in. I loved Styx, and I had their greatest hits, and I had all the songs memorized. And she's like, "Do you want to see Styx?" And I'm like, "Dennis DeYoung, yeah!" so we went, and it was awesome. And we saw Journey. I can't remember who was the singer at the time, because it wasn't Steve Perry, and it wasn't the Filipino guy.
Yeah. I
It
can't
was
think of his
the
name.
in-between guy. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good show. And
Awesome.
and Foreigner opened for Journey.
Wow. So it's sort of like a stacked 80s lineup right there.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's like a free
and then-
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Foghat opened.
Foghat.
Foghat. Oh, man. Now you're not. Oh,
for,
now it's getting crazy.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I grew up in a very strict religious home, and also we were poor, and also my parents were immigrants, and so we didn't ever go to any concerts.
Wow.
My first live show that I ever went to, besides my own like high school band shows that I put on, so
Yeah.
I guess that would be the first actual thing I've ever concert was my own. But
Yeah.
I was at Woodstock in 1999 in Rome, New York. when the
Really?
riot happened.
Oh, my God.
That was my first live show that I ever went to.
Oh, my God.
And I was blown away. I mean, I got to see Dave Matthews Band at their peak, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine, Jamiroquai. I got to see Chemical Brothers and the Crystal Method do a set together in a tent. And it was beautiful. And it was awesome. And like, I have never actually wanted to go to any more concerts since then, kind of. But the truth is, for me, I'm a different breed. Like live shows for me are a stress because it's like I've heard other professions talk about it in a similar way. Like football players can't go, they're not comfortable going and watching other professional football player games.
Yeah.
Because it makes them uncomfortable because they want to be down on the field. They want to be involved.
Yeah.
And like for me, going and watching a live show, I'm watching the technical aspect. I'm listening to the sound. I'm watching if anything's fake.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, that guy's not really playing. That guy's not really playing. This is a track.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like one of those things at the bar where you have two pictures next to each other. And you got to find the differences.
Yeah.
I'm spotting the differences instead of being there for what it's for. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the wrong reason. And so like, I just realized like, I love playing shows and I love watching shows that I've played at. Like I love watching other artists that I know. But for me, I have trouble, like my ADD has trouble turning off, relaxing and enjoying that.
Yeah. Well, so slightly similar, but I do concert photography too. And so sometimes it gets super hard for me to actually like engage with the music or like, because I also write about this show. So I have to kind of think about it. But there's sometimes when I'm, if I go to a show where I don't have if I go to a show and I don't have a camera, I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
And how to like get into it. Like I did that last night. I went and saw Alice in Chains.
Nice.
And it felt weird a little bit until I got into the music and I was like,
It probably felt weird because of the singer.
Yeah, well, I love that dude. What's his name? Shit. Blanking out now.
I don't know who replaced Lane Staley, but I heard he sounds close.
Yeah, he does. He sounds close. He's got good stage presence. I mean, he's different from Lane, but and I feel super
he's
privileged.
Probably sober to start, which helps.
Yeah, and he's they've done the whole album like post Lane with him.
Right. Yeah.
Damn it, I wish I could remember his name.
But it was a good show.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic.
But you didn't have a camera.
Nope. But all my photography buddies were there. They were like shooting from we were up by it was at Pine Knob over by you know where the sound stage is there, or where the mixing console is, like we're dead center.
Yeah, in the back, right.
Yeah. And they were all shooting from the soundboard, so they were all behind me like, hey, how come you're not shooting? Well, I just sometimes you don't want to shoot.
I feel like Joe comes on and comes off, and I can hear him, and then he's we lose him.
Yeah, I think he's having some connection problems.
Or he was waiting to talk. I don't know which one, but maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see if he pops back in. So KB, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask? You can do it through the chat if you can't. If your audio is not working.
He just sends a thumbs down.
Boop. Nope, I'm good. Let's see. Nope, I don't see anything from him. All right. So if you guys could go play anywhere in the world, where would you go play? And if you had a band or bands that you wanted to be on the bill with, who would that be?
I would love to play on a cruise ship.
Nice.
I just think that would be sweet. It'd be like such a captively weird experience to just then be stuck with the rest of the crowd for the weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Walk around and like talk to all the people that saw the show, or maybe you play twice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always thought that would be kind of a cool experience. I would love to do that with some like people are of similar size to us in our genre, maybe, and who are coming up and trying to carve out their little piece of this. It'd be cool to get some of those together and do something, maybe with one biggie to help push it. I don't know who that would be. But I bet Squirrel or Kaylin would rather, her nickname is Squirrel, to me anyway. Because she's always busy and she's always running up trees. Probably got a different location. Probably anywhere warm, honestly.
Literally anywhere warm. I want to play in Vegas in the summer. I want to play in Miami. I want to play in Ibiza. I want to play in bougie places.
Because we played like last week, we played outside and it was supposed to be an outdoor event and it rained all day and we played anyway.
Yeah,
And they had us go on. We couldn't believe it.
59 degrees.
Oh,
Warming.
Windy. And there's people.
And there's
they're
people.
really?
Yeah.
We're like,
Wow.
what? I mean, what is happening? There's a dune cloud coming over the hill. It looks like Mordor. And we're out there. And people are just eating ice cream in the wind.
Like, it's real cold. Well, how are you eating ice cream?
What is this?
Oh,
we put meetups together and like, I mean, stuff was soaked. I could not believe how wet everything was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable. But yeah.
That's crazy. I thought of a question I wanted to ask and I forgot. You mentioned Joe's back. Maybe we can talk to Joe too. Who does the artwork for you guys?
Depends on the day.
It does.
Well, for animals, because I really love that cover.
David did that cover.
I did that one. Yeah.
Really? Nice. Love it.
Some of it sometimes.
He does some graphic art. He's got some history in that.
We used to do that as a job. I used to actually lift fruit off backgrounds for Myers publications, you know, the coupons.
Yeah.
So I had a job just sitting there, taking bananas off, put them on the paper. I was building the website at the time, but like it wasn't enough work. So I'd just do this other work for the photo department. And they'd be like, you can do that? And I was like, yeah, just give it to me. And I was lifting all their stuff and creating the circulars. So when you started to see like pumpkins sort of flown on the side and do all this 3D decorative stuff, that was me back in the early 2000s of Meyer.
But
Awesome.
he also was out in LA working on
I was, yeah.
websites for movies like the Scooby-Doo movie.
She's throwing me, she's basically tossing me out here.
He knows
to
about
not play it down.
things. He knows about things.
That's awesome.
I do know about some things, but yeah. But yeah, so you know, we've collaborated with some artists before.
Yeah.
Our Ghost of Miami cover was done by an artist in Finland. A good friend of ours in Michigan, a photographer. He shot some of the images that we used for the landline cover and for the glossy cover.
Dave Allen.
Yeah, his name's David Allen.
Nice.
And he's a friend, you know, that we see from time to time. But at any rate, the animals cover and the end is the beginning. The next one's coming out. I've done both of those. So
Awesome.
I mean, that's just the trend right now.
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
We just end up kind of having these ideas, and so sometimes it's best if I can visualize it and it's either off the beaten path or weird enough that it maybe by making it myself, it kind of captures what we were going for in the recording process, maybe.
Yeah.
Especially on this last one, like,
Yeah.
because this album is bonkers a little bit. Like, I mean, there's songs about werewolves, there's songs about aliens, there's songs about love, but it's bonkers because it goes all over the place, song. And you wouldn't know it. Like, you'll just be like, oh, listen around, and, you know, come from a love song into that, and it won't jar you. You'll just realize that that's what we're talking about. And you'll be like, oh, all right. Like,
Oh, weird. All right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I like. You know, I'll be honest, I had not listened to a bunch of synthwave. I didn't really know what it was until researched you guys. But that's what I like about the music that I've listened to so far is that it a lot you can like kind of develop your own imagery to it, you know, for yourself as you're listening. And it also has that aesthetic of being sort of like you mentioned or you know, not being jarring, but I found a lot of it to be like super uplifting. Like you never really felt like bummed out or sad about any of the music, even if some of it could be on a sad topic. It always felt like sort of like hopeful or like super uplifting. Do you guys feel that way as well?
Yeah.
You trying to make it that way?
It's a musical vacation. I mean, it's meant to be. I don't know. You can sing sad synth music.
Yeah.
It exists,
I mean,
but
we've got some songs that I would say are a little sad, especially on the Ghost of Miami record, and there's a couple on Animals too.
there
But
are.
but yeah, I think maybe it's just the vibe of it that makes it not feel so depressing.
Yeah.
Probably the synthesizers, that sort of end of an 80s movie as the credits are rolling.
Yeah.
And you think, well, it could be this, but it could also be that. Like it gives you the end all that there could be something, some hope that you
Right.
don't see. Because, that's how movies used to end. You didn't get it all wrapped up with a bow. It used to just kind of have to just go, I guess that's it, Old 80s movies in particular, they'd run out of film or budget, and that would be what it was. Like, you just assume they were together and
Right.
happily ever after. And happily ever after, as we know, isn't always true. But I think that's the fantasy of synthwave, is happily ever after,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else can write about all the dark stuff. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I love it. I definitely love the positivity in the music. It's very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, guys, I really appreciate you being on Fans with Bands. It's been awesome to get to talk with you and get to know you. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to checking out the new album when it comes out. I had got just one last question. It's somewhat controversial, so hopefully it doesn't split you two up. But it is pineapple or no pineapple on pizza.
No pineapple.
Pineapple.
What?
Love it.
Sick.
It's so good.
No,
I never knew you felt this way.
This is a sacrilege. I
Uh-oh.
can't believe that we're in this band together.
What are you talking about?
I'm disgusted.
How
by
can you not like delicious things?
No, you can't. Pineapple is my favorite fruit, but not warm and soggy on
Oh. What about you?
I'm with Kaylin. I'm like no.
No way.
Yeah, I like pineapple, but putting it on a pizza just feels wrong.
It's so good. Oh, it's just like that. I get the Asian fried rice, and they serve it to me in a pineapple
That's fine. That's rice.
with
That's
the
not
pineapple
pizza.
in it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, that's hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat that. But I'm just saying I don't have a judgment for you on that.
I don't have a judgment for you either. We just continue to not share pizza. We don't anyway. She's vegetarian. I can't have any pepperoni or anything. So she's
Oh, bummer.
for her.
There's cheese.
I had to be really hungry to eat her
Tomato,
pizza.
basil, like a nice margarita pizza.
Oh yeah, look, yeah, love a good margarita.
I do too, but
Yeah.
but
No.
no pepperoni on a pizza is also blasphemy. But,
Vegan pepperoni,
wow. Chuck threw that monkey wrench right in there.
There, yeah, I know. I
It
told
did
you.
its job.
Our lives.
You're gonna go fight about it now.
That's right. Well, maybe you can make up over pizza. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
in
All right.
Philly. We'll eat Philly pizza this weekend.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. Well,
Awesome. Well,
thanks again, guys, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
yeah, definitely, man. 100%.
All right. Thanks to David, Kaylin, Joe, and Gary for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. It was fun to learn about Von Kaiser and the synthwave genre. We delved into Von Kaiser's songwriting as well as their backstory. Von Kaiser's most recent album, Animals, is out there now, and they've got more music on the way. Be sure to check out their site and keep an eye out for shows. See the show notes for all the details and links. These are tough times for everyone in the creative industries such as music. Your support of live streaming, purchasing music, and merchandise is critical. If you can help out your local artists, please do. If you are in the Michigan area, consider following the Playing in the Detroit Area Tonight Facebook page. It is a place for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show and leaving a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jams.